What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com. It's time for yet another Movies with Pride. This is A Single Man. It's currently available on Netflix. I didn't catch the audio description stuff at the end. I've noticed Netflix is moving me more and more into another thing, although its choices, and I noticed this with another streaming service, totally off topic, that their choices are not like, you guys have algorithms. This was They wanted me to go into Black Sails from A Single Man. And I was like, is it about gay pirates that I just never knew? Like, what is this recommendation? This is not even close. Anyway, it's Pride Month, so I'm celebrating by being an LGBT blind film critic and, you know, doing LGBT films. And I really wanted to talk about Tom Ford's A Single Man. Um, Obviously, it's, he's an openly gay fashion designer, and it's about a man played by Colin Firth, who is gay in the 60s. In the 60s? And he has a boyfriend played by Matthew Good, who at the opening of the film, the onset of the film, dies in a car accident. And the whole film is sort of about dealing with the grief and reminiscing about the past, and struggling to go on and deciding whether or not to go on and figuring out if there's anything left on this mortal coil to keep him here. He has a best friend. There's a word I'm not going to use, but there's a word for this, for Julianne Moore's character. And it's she has a substantial role here, playing Firth's sort of best friend, the one who sort of understands the fact and knows his secret, but also can't seem to fully come to terms with it, because she tries to kiss him, and it's like she doesn't, quite understand the concept. I guess it was the 60s, so maybe people like this just were a little bit more commonplace when they hung out with gay men. They were like, well, maybe I get bonus points if I turn them back. Then I'll be a superwoman. Like, I don't know. But they kind of just booze it up together and laugh and have fun. But she also does kind of flirt with him and try to kiss him. It's an odd role. It's actually a really good role for Julianne Moore. I was really surprised she didn't get a supporting actress nomination for this. We have also got some people who were, going on to do bigger things after this, but who were in smaller roles. Nicholas Hoult is in a pretty decent-sized role here, and we've also got Jennifer Goodwin in the cast. So, obviously, both people would go on to do more things later on in their career, and continue to raise their profile. So, yeah, Holt is good in this as well. He's plays the person who might be able to show Firth that there's perhaps something more to life, and maybe he doesn't need to end it. Firth's character kind of spends most of the time in the film trying to plot his way towards the end of his life, getting this gun together, and it's obviously not his thing. He's sort of a stuffy English professor, so who enjoys a good cocktail, and it seems like a very violent way for him to go, for him to choose, gun, and so it takes a while to sort of plot it out as the film goes on. I think this film is really well described. I feel like I kind of know who it is, but I don't want to say. I want to say it's Adrian Barbeau, but I'm not 100% on that, and I still wouldn't know the company. So that was my feeling. That was my guess. Throwing that out there into the world. I think it's done really well. The problem that I have is I've seen A Single Man before, and Tom Ford, being a fashion designer, has an incredible eye for the visual aesthetics of anything. I mean, he lives his world coming up with visual aesthetics and fashion. So when he decided to make his directorial debut with A Single Man, what made it interesting was, what was he going to bring to this film? Would he even be able to direct a film? Was the debate. Is it's like, oh, it's a fashion designer, you never saw like Tommy Hilfiger or Calvin Klein or anybody like that trying to direct, a movie. But Tom Ford took this adaptation and ran with it, and it's a gorgeous looking film, and it's like every shot is so intentional with the lighting, the coloring, the hues, the way he uses the camera. It's so hard to fully bring all of that into the audio description. I think the audio description does a really good job of helping to fill out the story and give us all of the basic stuff. But if you were to try to talk about the interest of what is it like to have a fashion designer direct a film, I think this is where we there's sort of this thing that audio description hasn't quite tackled, which is directorial style. And I talk about this more with an established director like Wes Anderson, who really does have a very distinct style over the course of his entire career, has basically done the same sort of aesthetics in every single film. And trying to explain that to somebody who might be coming along blind and be interested in film, about what it is that makes Wes Anderson films so interesting to his fans, and why he has such a following, and what it is about his films that are so unique. It's really this very specific visual style that occasionally gets parodied when they need it to. Tom Ford feels like that kind of director. I wish he had done, I wish he had like a body of work of films, because I think they would all look like this. I think they would all look like extended, like these people they know, like they see these commercials, right, for their perfume brands, and there are these really like 30 seconds of high fashion and art like sort of merged together for this really glossy, shiny glimpse into what it could be like to escape should you choose this fragrance. And it feels a little bit like that, except over the length of a feature film, and with the same mentality towards the subject matter that you would want to give if you were a member of the community, which Tom Ford is gay and is directing this. Like, he's obviously taking a very personal touch to this, but he also has this very interesting perspective when he steps behind a camera as to how things should look, how things should be shot, where to put the camera, all that kind of stuff. It's a very interesting shot film, and one of my disappointments is that A Single Man wasn't better accepted as a film below the line. It just became an Oscar nominee for Colin Firth, and debatably I would have rather Colin Firth won an Oscar for this. I know his competition is different, so it's like comparing apples to oranges, because it's like, well, does Colin Firth deserve to win over the people he's nominated against? Or could have been nominated against, because there's always like someone who didn't get the nomination, who we look back on like 10, 12 years later and we're like, that person should have been nominated. But this is a much stronger, more emotional, more introspective performance from Firth than what we get in King's Speech, where he's getting sort of recognized because he's doing really good work with a stutter. If we're being honest, that's why he got his Oscar for King's Speech. It was a better campaign film He was in the Best Picture race, and he had a stutter, so he won. He had previously been nominated, which sometimes helps to already have a nomination and to not be coming in off your first. Plus, he'd been around forever, so even if it wasn't his first time, he might have still gotten the win because Colin Firth was not new. So, lots of reasons why he won for the King's Speech, but it should have been a single man. It's a better performance. Again, the whole cast here is good. I think it's a beautiful film. I think it's a great way to look at a relationship during a time period where people didn't say gay. They just did not. They were not out. The phone call between him and the police officer when there's a car accident, you can feel there's a level of discomfort on the cop's part, but he's still relaying the information to where he's supposed to relay the information that someone has died in a car accident. But there is sort of this bristled thing about the way that he's speaking over the phone. He doesn't really want to be speaking to this person over the phone. There's still that disgust that certain people live on the fringe of society and are not quite as worthy as others. And that was the 60s for openly gay men. So this is a really interesting film that I feel like is slowly getting forgotten to time. So I'm really happy that this is on Netflix at the time when I'm doing Movies with Pride. So I have an opportunity to sit down and say, hey, check out A Single Man, because it's really good and it has audio description. So it matches my criteria. I didn't want to give up being a blind film critic and just review a whole bunch of gay movies that don't have audio description. I want to be able to talk about audio description. So here you go, A Single Man. Check it out. I think it's a much better film than people give it credit for. I don't know that I would have necessarily given a Best Picture nomination, but I do think that there are choices that Tom Ford made where it should have would have been an interesting cinematography nominee. For example, I think there's a lot of visual choices in how the way the film looks that would have made it nice to have that kind of as a nomination. So it should be more. And costume design, how do you not nominate a film directed by Tom Ford for costume design? I mean, come on. Just what a slap. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I know it's the 60s, so it's not that far away, but still, damn. Yeah, anyway, this is fantastic film, and I enjoyed watching it again. I'm gonna give A Single Man an A-. So thank you for celebrating Pride Month with me, and make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the other side.